Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be talking about Fourth Wing and Iron Flame because Onyx Storm, the third book in the series, does come out in 2 days on January 21st. So I thought now would be a good time to do a little bit of a deep dive into these books. We're gonna have a spoiler-free section first, so there will be no spoilers. And then I will warn you guys when we're about to talk about spoilers because we're gonna get into some theories. We're gonna get into kind of what I thought about these two books in general. I have a lot of tabs on Iron Flame, so this is going to be just a fun little deep dive into these. Let's get started. Starting out with Fourth Wing, so I actually discovered this book through TikTok marketing videos before it was published, and then on release day I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go buy it. So I went and got this on release day and got the OG sprayed edge that everybody was fighting over apparently. I think I got the last 2 copies because I got it for my friend for her birthday as well. That's kind of fun. You can see I have a couple tabs in here, but we'll get into those a little bit later. This series is about Violet, who is going into her first year of college at this war college called Basgiath. At the war college, there are 4 different quadrants, so you get put into a different quadrant, either the healer quadrant, infantry quadrant, scribe quadrant, or writer's quadrant. So she's been training to be a scribe her whole life, and basically her mom is like the head of the school in a sense, or the writer's part of the school, and she is like, no, you're going into the writer's quadrant. Violet also has an autoimmune disease. I can't remember exactly which one she has, but her bones and like joints are very like fragile. So going into the writer's quadrant where you're going to be riding dragons is not the best idea for her. We of course meet Xaden. He is part of the group of riders that have a rebellion relic because their family and their ancestors all fought in a rebellion against Basgiath and lost, so they got marked with these relics and then they have to go into the Riders Quadrant. It's about their story and kind of everything going on through Violet's first year. It is super fast paced. The romance is absolutely great in this book. I would say this is probably sitting around a 1.5 star on the spicy rating. There's like 2 or 3 scenes that are pretty graphic in here, but they're very easily skippable if you do not want to read them. And this book does end on a crazy cliffhanger. I did give this a 5 stars. I read it in I think 3 or 4 days. Moving on to Iron Flame, I'm not really gonna talk about this at all. I did end up giving it 4 stars. It was a little bit slower. It is a little bit longer than the first book, but it's still very good and very worth the read. Now we're going to get into spoiler stuff. So we're going to be talking exactly about things that happened. So if you have not read these books or you do not want to talk about spoilers, hear theories or anything, log off now, come back once you finish the books. All right, let's get into it. All right, guys. So truthfully, this book was a true 5 stars for me. I thought it was so good. This book, however, did fall short with the 4-star rating, and that is 100% because I theorized and came up with so many different things that I thought was going to happen in this book, and a lot of them were right. So Rebecca Yarros is traditionally a romance author, and she has recently gotten into the fantasy genre. So she intentionally made this pretty easy to digest for a romance reader that's kind of dipping their toe into fantasy. And because of that, I found this pretty easy to guess and interpret. There was, I think, one thing, and it was Andarna being like the 7th dragon that like doesn't have a color or whatever. That was like the only thing I didn't really guess, but everything else either I guessed personally or me and my friend group that were reading this together, we guessed it together. Xaden being able to read minds, that was guessed. Xaden turning into Venom at the end, that was guessed. That was my main one. After I finished this, I said, I think that one of them is going to turn Venom in this story, and it's going to be, there's this big battle at the end, and one of them needs more power, so they're going to have to pull from the ground in order to defeat somebody and keep the other one safe. And that is exactly what happened. Once we find out about Xaden, you know, being a mind reader and everything, that's where these tabs came in. So I think I have 3 tabs, 2 or 3 tabs on here. I went back immediately after I finished Iron Flame and tabbed moments where Xaden clearly read her mind or her intentions. Xaden is an intrinsic is what they call it. So he's a type of mind reader. He can't actually read exact thoughts, but he can read intentions. So he knows the intention of somebody every time he's near them or around them. And so he was reading Violet's intentions throughout this whole book, which was actually crazy and so fun to go back and look through. Now, in this book, I do think it could have been split into 2 books. I think the first 300 pages could have finished after she got out of the like torture area that was happening where she saw Liam. I think that after that, it could have probably ended and then part 2, second book. Main thing in this book that bothered me actually was the Kat storyline. So Kat got introduced, she's Xaden's ex, and there's all this jealousy and drama between them, which I was loving and eating up. And I feel like they very quickly resolved all that drama and tension by the end of Iron Flame. Like they were cordial with each other and cool, and they weren't super upset or mad anymore, didn't trust each other. Like they were like, yeah, like truce basically. And I didn't like that. I think that the drama could have been going for books, multiple books. There's 5 books in this series. We only have 2 out. That's 3 more. At least 1 more book I think the drama could have been going on in, but it's okay. So moving on back into this, I do have some tabs that stick out a little further. Those ones are also when Xaden was reading her mind or when the dreams were happening. So when those dreams were happening and we thought that they were Violet's and they actually were Xaden's. I do have a theory around this. So we're gonna get into theories about kind of what I think. I don't have a ton of theories just because since my theorizing kind of made this book not as good for me, I decided to hold off before. So I have a couple things that I think could happen, but I didn't really deep dive too much into Onyx Storm. I guess my big theory that I'm like almost 100% sure on is I think that Xaden's mom is a high-ranking Venin general, or she's like leading a group of Venin and stuff, because when the Venin general at the end was talking to him and talking to him through dreams and everything, he was saying things that were kind of like, I know more about you than you think. And that's the same thing that Xaden was telling Violet in the first book. And the reason that he knew more about her than she thought was because of Brennan and knowing her brother. So in this, I think that that's the same case where it's Xaden's mom has been feeding them information about him and like, we need to get him on our side, or we need to, you know, make him Venin, and he's Venin now. So that's my main theory. Xaden's mom, high-ranking Venin general, Venin leader, something or other, and she did that because she was like mad that she was made to marry and have a kid with Xaden's dad, and then she fled when he was young, which we obviously know. The next theory that everyone's been talking about is, what is Violet's second signet? So apparently it is glaringly obvious in this book. So with that in mind, there are 2 options that I think, from what I've heard, best guesses. The first one that I thought of was she can speak to the dead, or she's like a necromancer. That comes obviously from seeing Liam and like him being basically in front of her talking through the torture that she was going through. I don't really know. I think that I'm leaning more towards the other theory, which is that she is also an intrinsic. So the reason why she wouldn't necessarily know this is because it's kind of like a trick of her mind as well. So there's been a few times throughout the series where she has seen through somebody else's eyes. So like she sees into their mind what they're seeing. So in book 1, it was actually Andarna looking at her tattoo on her back of the dragons. Now, of course, her second signet hadn't fully developed, but that would be because her second signet comes from Andarna. That would be Andarna's magic and kind of a little hint towards it. And then in this book, she sees in the throne room scene, she does see through Xaden's eyes, and she's like, whoa, what's going on? So I think that that's something that she hasn't just fully developed yet. I'm leaning more so on the side that she's an intrinsic like Xaden and Dane, just in a different way, which I think is also could be really cool, because if the 3 of them are intrinsics, I feel like they're gonna have to like, you know, like work together. And that brings me to my next theory. I think that a love triangle is going to happen again in this book. Now, theories versus what I personally wish would happen. I personally would love for Dane to come back into the picture, and that happened, which I know is controversial, but I'm sorry, by the end of Iron Flame I did not hate Dane at all. I was a Dane sympathizer. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity for that to happen again, but I would also love for her to get in a love triangle with Eric, which is her like childhood friend. His real name's Cam Greycastle, I think is his last name. He entered the story at the beginning of Iron Flame and he gave a fake name, which is Eric, and she and Dane have known him, and I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued by him. I know that some people have been saying him and Sloane might be getting together, which could be a thing. A lot of people have also been saying that Dane and Kat are going to get together. I can't see that, but time will tell in Onyx Storm. I think it would be funny if Kat got with like Riddick or something like that. Obscure character that's like kind of clearly more immature than her, but she like falls in love with them. I think that would be fun. Those are going to be my main theories for Onyx Storm. I would love to hear your theories in the comments, and in a couple weeks I will be, probably this next week, I will be finished with Onyx Storm. I do plan on getting it on release day and starting it and then finishing it pretty quickly, at least within a week, and then I will definitely be coming on here to chit chat about Onyx Storm review, Onyx Storm theories, just a full debrief about what happened. I will absolutely be tabbing it up just like I did this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comment. This is the first kickoff book to the 2025 book release year. It is going to be crazy. I have this one coming out in January 21st, and then January 28th I have another book coming out. And then I think most weeks of February, I also have a book coming out. So lots of new book reviews are going to be coming onto this channel very soon. I'll probably be doing at least 1 or 2 per month, and then some other general book talk content videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.